Good day, Stoners, and welcome to a juicy episode of the Turning Stones podcast. Today's episode, we have a new guest for everyone. His name is Jimmy. Jimmy, how's it going?
Hey, mate. Yeah, not too bad. Pretty good. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yep, happy to have you on the podcast, and I'm pretty sure all the listeners are going to learn to love your voice and obviously appreciate what you have to say on today's episode. So I guess before we get started, let's let the Stoners know how we know each other. Jimmy, I'll let you start it off, and I'll fill in the blanks if you miss any.
It was a hot summer's night. In pre-season, we called it last year, just before COVID hit. I remember just seeing this I remember lining up on, I reckon, left back, and you were lining up left wing. And I reckon we played a scratch, and all I could remember was, damn, fuck, this guy runs a lot. Can he just stop running? And I think that's how we sort of met each other in soccer pre-season.
Yeah, it definitely was. And for all of you that are just wanting to know which club, it was the mighty Virginia United, who are still going strong. They're actually in their 25th anniversary year, and unfortunately Jimmy and I aren't playing this year. But, you know, through thick and thin, we're there out supporting. And, of course, during a pandemic last year, we were helping the boys. We didn't get too many wins last year, let's be honest, Jimmy. But do you know what? Like, we weren't the greatest on field, but I'm pretty sure we're probably the best team off field. I mean, you just have to look at our silly Sunday as an example. And that was a quality day, wasn't it?
That was a quality day.
Can you remember much from it?
I don't half of it remember. I don't remember any of it, actually.
And I think even
I reckon all I remember
one of the mottos of the days was that this club's not all about the wins and losses. It's all about the off-field culture and banter and, you know, just those silly Sundays. That's what we live for. And sometimes that's what it comes down to with sport. If sport doesn't pay the bills, you're not getting paid to play, just go out and have fun. And that's exactly what we were doing last year. And obviously you there and left back, and occasionally me there and left mid or left wing, even though I'm not a left footer. Sometimes, you know, if your skill and your talent's not there, you can contribute somehow. And that was just my running last year. And yeah, I didn't snag a goal, but I mean, I think I provided an assist, and I think you had a good couple of games.
Pretty sure you provided a lot of assists, mate. Yeah, I reckon I should have scored more than in 2 games, but only scored in the 1 game. Felt a bit rough, but
no, doesn't matter. That's it. But, for all of you that are wanting to know what happened on that silly Sunday, well, that might just have to be another podcast in itself, maybe with the actual whole squad, because I think there's plenty of blanks on that day and a bit of memory loss and amnesia or thereabouts. But, the real main reason for having Jimmy on the episode today, and first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it. But getting all that laughter and bullshit aside, it is actually something serious. And in the month of June, you actually completed something called the Push-Up Challenge. And the Push-Up Challenge, for all of you that don't know out there, it's actually Australia's largest mental health and fitness initiative. So, Jimmy, throwing it back at you, just let us know what is the Push-Up Challenge, if you can provide a bit more detail, and then maybe why you did it as well.
Yeah, no. So the push-up challenge is a challenge that goes for 25 days. It went from the start of June, so the 1st of June to the 25th of June. Basically, the accomplishment was to achieve 3,318 push-ups. The reason for that 3,318 was actually in conjunction with the number of deaths in 2019 by suicide, so in Australia alone. So basically, that number there represented the amount of deaths by suicide, and we didn't have to do it all at once. We could spread it across the month, or they gave us a schedule to keep up to, but you could adjust your schedule accordingly to how your body felt. But it was just raising that mental health awareness, just understand that there are people going through mental health issues, and that there are people to support them, whether that be Lifeline, Push-Up Foundation have their own foundation, whether or not you call up your mate or something like that. There's always there's always support around.
That's good. And so just looking at your Push-Up Challenge page, I actually donated, but you had a goal of $1,000 and you actually exceeded that with $1,013. So congratulations, Jimmy, and such a great cause. And I do see here on your dashboard as well that you did complete all 3,318 push-ups. So I'm thinking after these 25 days, doing that many push-ups, now my math's not the greatest, so I'm just going to have to use the calculator. You're averaging 133 push-ups a day, which is pretty good effort. So your chest put on a bit of size since then, and I'm guessing you can do push-ups for fun now.
Oh, I reckon I've stretched a bit of my shirts out. I went to go like size up a few shirts at a clothing store. I was like, wait a second, I've gone up a size.
Yeah.
So,
Few of
I
us
reckon
boys at the soccer club thought you were on the juice there for a bit in June, but clearly it's just this push-up challenge.
Oh mate, I reckon it was definitely the push-up challenge. But now 130 doesn't seem like much, but I reckon you've got those days where you go for a week exhausted by the end of it. But I reckon there was one time when I totally forgot to do it, and then I reckon before I went to bed, I just realised, wait a second, I've got 130 to do today.
I'm actually also looking at the breakdown of your push-ups as well in your schedule. Your highest day was Tuesday the 22nd of June, which is 220 push-ups. That's pretty good. If you think about it, we're not even awake for 24 hours. So say we're awake for 16 hours. So if you actually divide that up, you're doing 13.75 push-ups an hour. And that's not saying that you actually got 16 hours free in your day. So that must have been a pretty tough one, that 220 on the Tuesday the 22nd. Then you had a couple of rest days, which is always important, as they say. But yeah, 25 days, that many push-ups, honestly, kudos to you. And not too many people are, I guess, confident enough to do it or physically able to do it. Not only have you done that, but also what made me aware of this program that you did do is that every day you're actually not just bullshitting and logging them in, because a friend of mine did it last year and they showed me how the app works. So you can basically, it's just an honesty system where you can just log in how many you actually did. But you recorded your push-ups and actually posted them to your Instagram stories on a daily basis. So that was just a really good bit of evidence there. And you obviously put fast, not the opposite of slow-mo, I don't know what you call it, but it was like a fast version of you doing all the push-ups. And it's good to see that you're doing a bit of transparency and not just bullshitting and lying and just logging them in. So good on you.
Yeah. No, well, that's exactly one thing. I didn't want to obviously fake it. I wanted to actually, go through this, commit to it, and actually achieve it. Did it at work as well, just to show people at work that I was actually doing it. So I'd be in my, slacks in my button shirt doing it. I reckon there was a period where I actually thought my shirt was going to snap, or the buttons were going to snap off my shirt.
No, it's really good.
No, honestly, just wanted to be honest. But one of my mates had to do it. I should have done what he did actually. He actually noted and actually logbooked it in a book and got his wife to sign it every time he actually did it. So he would actually get his wife to watch him, and she would actually sign it as a confirm. I was like, that's actually a smart idea. So next year I might actually implement that as well.
That's really good. But yeah, I mean, like obviously this is your first year of the push-up challenge, and hopefully you're doing this for many years to come. But I guess before we look to the future, looking at the past, you've obviously completed it in 25 days as the challenge stipulated. I guess my question to you is, what was the main motivation of you doing this? I mean, mental health is becoming a bigger thing than what it ever used to be. A lot more people are a lot more confident to come out about it because we're actually raising awareness of it. It's always existed. It's always been there. But I'm really happy that, there are organizations out there, there are people out there that are sort of raising a lot more awareness. And it's one of those taboo things that were never really talked about years ago. But now I'm glad that people are being confident to talk about it. So if you feel confident enough, do you mind sharing the main reason? Whether was it yourself, a loved one, a friend? What made you actually do this?
Yeah, so actually my colleague from work actually made me aware of the actual challenge. But what actually made me do it was something happened last year. So I became a team leader in my organisation, and I was actually becoming a team leader of one of my mates who I've been close with for the past 5 years at work, basically. And his performance at work was, second to none. I could vouch for him to any team leader. So I had no questions about his work ethical performance. But when I was getting different performance, and it just made me just curious and raised a few eyebrows of myself and just going, okay, what's going on here? Is there something going on? My mate was like to me, and this being a male, was like, oh no, everything's all good, just, COVID, and just blamed it on other stuff. Not saying he blamed it on other stuff, but just had other excuses. So I was like, okay, COVID, understandable. It's a strange phenomenon. We're not going to obviously pressure you during this environment. We'll see how you go. Again, 2 weeks went by, didn't see much improvement. I said, okay, not getting any better. It's getting a tad worse, actually. Is there anything going on again? No, nothing's going on. Nothing going on outside. Nothing going on. Okay, it's just obviously adjusting to this COVID life, this weird life it may be. And then I said, okay, why not? Because what I did prior to actually becoming his team leader, we always used to catch up monthly, go for a dinner or something. I said, I've been a hectic few months. I've transitioned to this position as a team leader. Why not just take you out for dinner? We'll go have our dinners again. We'll go have a chat, just like mates, rather than manager and staff member. We're actually
Good idea.
mates like we used to. So we went out for dinner, and when he just came out to me with all his gambling problems that he was having, just obviously him and his partner were just going through a few things, and he really opened up to me and basically. And, I've basically explained, have you actually spoken to anyone about this? Have you actually, seek support regarding this? And he just said, no, he's just been bottling it, been keeping these emotions to himself. Haven't really spoken to anyone about it. I was probably the first person he spoke to about it. And we went for a few drinks after, and he just broke down in front of me. And I just felt, it's all right. You've got mates around you, you've got support, you've got your family, your partner loves you. It's not your fault what's going on. You're fine.
Exactly.
You don't need to blame yourself. But I think one of the most alarming things, and during the challenge, you made me aware of it, was the statistic behind male suicides. It was something like nearly 209 a month he equated to in. 2,502 men died of suicide in 2019. That's over 75% of the 3,000 of the actual total. So, growing up with my father and stuff, I can honestly say, whenever I went to during high school, got raised, and during those anxiety periods that you have, year 11, year 12, trying to figure out what you're doing with life. I remember just going to my dad sometimes. I don't know what I'm doing, stressed out, anxiety to the max, and he'd be like, "You're solid. You'll be all right. You're tough enough. You're a man. You've got this."
Yeah.
And that was the advice he used to give me. So, obviously, I'm not trying. I love my dad. He's the best. One of the best blokes I can vouch for. I love him to death. But you grow up in that environment, doesn't really support you that much.
No.
But it's definitely obviously like you said yourself earlier. There is more support out there. There are people coming forward saying you can talk to us. Speak up. I think that's probably the major problem with male figures. Is that we don't want to speak up. We feel like it's a burden. We feel like we're embarrassed to speak up about our problems.
Yeah, it's a sign of weakness as well, Jimmy. I think a lot of people feel like if they do speak up or if they do raise something negative in their life, it's a sign of weakness, and it's a sense of embarrassment as well. Now, just on that stat as well that you said, I think it's around 209 people a month or something like that. I've got another stat here. Is that more than 1/10 of Australians will actually consider ending their life over their lifetime. Around 13% of Australians between the ages of 16 and 85 will seriously consider suicide. 4% of people will actually make a plan on how to do it, and just over 3% will make an attempt. So that's crazy numbers in terms of actually how many people will make a plan to do it, and also 3% are even just attempting to do it. So that's actually scary numbers. And you know what? Like raising awareness, making sure that you're checking in with your mates, saying if they're okay. And you know what? Kudos to you in the fact that you actually pulled your mate aside. You actually took him out for a dinner and just actually had a chat, just a genuine chat. How's life? How's things? How's the family? Because sometimes people don't want to open up, especially when it comes to a group situation. So that's that one-on-one consultation is what you need. And you know what? I really commend what you've done.
Cheers, man. Yeah, definitely. Like, that's an alarming stat you just, pointed out. But it's people just, don't want to show any weakness at all. But it's not weakness at the end of the day. We all battle it. Like, I'm not saying we all battle it, but someone that's battling through it. Someone that's going through this. At some stage in your life, you do go through some sort of anxiety. There's no one that's immune to anxiety. It all affects one of us, in different ways. So obviously, it affects people severely. They're not more severely than others. But don't be afraid to speak up. I've been an advocate since ever since high school. Stressing out about schools, stressing out about exams. I've always been an advocate, raising those sort of anxieties, raising those alarm bells, speaking up about it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Obviously, there are things you can do yourself to sort of get you out of these anxiety feelings. Or I think everyone feels depressed at, one stage or another in life. I mean, right now, currently, we're actually both in lockdown here in South Australia, and nearly over half of Australia is in lockdown at the moment. And so, these are actually really sensitive times in terms of actual mental health and depression, where especially people that are living alone, where they're confined to their four walls and pretty much can only leave the house for essential supplies. And when they do leave the house, well, they're actually not even allowed to even communicate with anyone else or make face-to-face contact. Yeah. All right. Luckily for technology these days, we have Skypes and FaceTimes and, social medias where we can sort of interact, but it's just not the same as that personal touch. So, I do commend, people go outside for a walk for 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day, get some vitamin D, do some breathing. Honestly, it actually helps out. Do something you enjoy, and look forward to something, whether it's, your favorite program, or if you're watching The Office on Netflix, where, it's not everyone's taste, but it's not a bad show, or, playing a PlayStation game, or, doing a bit of cooking, whatever you like to do. I mean, all right, we haven't been handed a good, I guess, hand of cards at the moment, but we just have to play with what we've got. And that's the most important time now, is also to reach out and communicate. And don't be afraid. Don't be shy, because people will listen. Yeah, even if you've got mates that, are the joking types and you wouldn't think they actually give a fuck, well, they actually might. And you'd be surprised when you're serious and you've got some problems, how many people will come out of the woodwork and help support you. So hopefully this podcast as well today, raises that extra bit of awareness. And obviously everyone now knows of Jimmy's push-up challenge, and hopefully 2022 can go a few more push-ups better. The only thing is, Jimmy, I'm a little bit disappointed you only just did the bare minimum, mate. Come on, I thought you were going to do an extra 100 push-ups or something like that, or was your pectorals just on the brink?
Well, so I went to John's base, but my mate actually put an achievement saying if he raised 500, only 500, he'd do the push-up challenge again in July. And he's committed to that so far. So he's into day 22, and he's done it 2 months straight. And he's like, why don't you do it with me? And I said, oh, yeah, I'll think about it. Knowing the first month that, 25 days really did, hurt.
Exactly.
Especially the first 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, your body is just sore, your chest is just tight. You really can't move your arms that much. But, no, so he's into his 22nd day of this month's challenge. He's not doing it for raising any money at the moment, because I think the foundation stopped raising any money for this particular challenge. But definitely you can support Lifeline and you support the Push Up Foundation in other avenues if you would like. But no, he's just doing it just to raise that awareness again. So he's just obviously going through each day, doing the same thing, video recording himself doing the push-ups, but also putting up those statistics about like we just mentioned earlier. But you said it yourself. 15 minutes of exercise, it honestly does a world of wonders. Just having a breather, getting some you time does a world of wonders to your mental health. And
even getting a good night's sleep, eating healthy. And you know what? If you have a bit of anxiety, I'm not going to say resort to, narcotics or, hitting the piss too much, but, an occasional glass of wine or, a nice cold frothy watching the footy. I mean, if that's what you like to do, then do it. Do what you like to do. But of course, all in moderation, guys. Something too much of something is never good. So, yeah, I mean, just making sure that you have a healthy lifestyle. And I think, sleep is very important. Diet's good, mindfulness, and of course, social interaction. And while we're all there on the topic, making sure that everyone's following, subscribing Turning Stones podcast, just for that extra bit of audio can do there as well. So
love the plug.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Just had to throw it in there. So you can do this push-up challenge any time of year. Is that right, Jimmy, or is it only to June?
So basically, with the actual with the organisation itself, they only do it around June. They do availability to fundraise through the through your friends, through your family. You still have that ability up until I think around middle of July, and then they stop it. But you can still obviously donate to the Push Up Foundation, or again, like when I actually started it, they actually asked me what organisation did I want to raise my funds for. I chose the Push Up Foundation, but I had the option to choose Lifeline. There was a few others in there. The major Beyond Blue was a part of them as well. So they had those major mental, or those those mental health institutions to support. So you could raise it through any of those streams. I chose the Push Up Foundation.
There you go. And I'm guessing now your technique, your balance, your ability to do a push up, it's got to be second to none.
Mate, honestly, the first week was terrible. I was struggling to get through 20
Were
at a
you doing
time.
female push-ups where the knees are on the floor?
Oh no, I was not resorting to that. I was like, could you imagine if I had the video on that? Me
Oh,
doing the knee
mate, all
push-ups
the
and
boys,
yeah,
all the boys would have ripped into you. But then again, you got to be careful to rip into someone that's actually potentially that may have some sort of mental issues. That's why social media can be a good thing where you're raising awareness, but it's also could be a bit of a cancer as well. And the fact that you might be pushing someone over the edge a little bit too much. So making sure that if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. But for you, every time that I seen you do an Instagram story, and obviously every now and then I was just giving you the thumbs up or just a positive emoji, and then I ended up just thinking, geez, this guy's stuck at it. And I'm pretty sure I said to you early on, I said, if you do all the push-ups, I'm donating, and I'm pretty sure I lived up to my promise.
yeah, no, that's exactly why I went through it. I was like, you know what, Terry's already committed here. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go through
exactly.
the whole. I'm gonna go through the whole 25 days. Stuff it. I'm gonna make him pay. I'm gonna make him put his money where his mouth is.
That's right.
So
Certainly
exactly
did.
did it. But yeah, you did say it. All the boys encouraged me. Even at the soccer club, when I went to the soccer club to watch the boys play, they encouraged me there. At work, people encouraged me, got around me, supported me. So, but again, I every day I would even say, if there's anyone that wanted to for them to message me, you could be a random that I don't know. I'm happy to speak to you. At the end of the day, you don't have to speak to obviously your friends or colleagues. You can speak to anyone.
Yep.
People there to listen. I know there's I don't know what their phone number is, but I think Lifeline have a mobile number which you can actually message. I don't know if you've seen that, Terry. There's an actual mobile number they can message, and someone will
All right.
respond to you just asking you about your mental health. So I don't actually know what the number is. I saw it circulate around Instagram a couple of days ago,
There you
and
go.
I forgot to actually jot it down. But I
And
know that they have a.
yeah, you're right. And even now with the lockdown we've got in South Australia, I'm pretty sure Stephen Marshall's press conference the other day was mainly all about mental health. And, if you need someone to talk to, they had a few numbers and a few hotlines there that you could contact, especially for those that actually are living alone or locked down alone. So, yeah, I mean, obviously it's becoming a lot more of a common thing. And so it should, because there's physical health, but there's also the other side of things as well when it comes to mental health. I mean, sometimes we have to see to believe. If you've seen a broken leg or, someone on crutches or in a wheelchair, you felt sorry for them. But then you see other people that just looked, miserable or angry, but you just thought, oh, what the fuck's his problem? You know what I mean? Like when someone's
Yeah.
screwing up their face. But, we can't see what's inside, what's going on inside. So sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover. That's obviously an old cliche, but it's so true.
It's definitely.
And yeah, I mean, all right, if someone might not have a pretty look or in terms of them scrunching their face or they look really angry or aggressive, but what's fueling that? So yeah, just take a step back, take a deep breath and realize, what's going on here, and maybe watch what you say or how you treat people. But I always, preach, treat people the way you want to be treated. And looking at this push-up thing as well, maybe that's something that you want to do like during lockdown as well. If you want to do a bit of a home workout, well, do, a few thousand push-ups over 25 days. I'm pretty sure it's a good form of exercise for you too, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, that's exactly how it started. So the actual founder of the actual organisation was battling through cancer, and
Oh, wow.
his mates got around him, and he was suffering depression at the time as well.
There you go.
That happened to him, but what do you call it? Basically, he got a few mates around him, and they just said, let's do a push-ups. We'll do it with you. And I think they wanted to achieve, 1,000 push-ups within 15 days or something. And they would always go with him to the park. They'd do it with him there. Spend 20, 30 minutes with him. So they actually did it with him and got him through that. And he said that had really helped a lot. So push-ups maybe is the way to go, where you do it with someone. Like I did it with my mate, and it was great. We just talked about it. Had a coffee over it, talked about, how we felt. We talked about, what the next day is going to be like, how we're going to plan our day, what we're doing, how we're going to promote this. And it was, just a great thing to just break up our day. Instead of thinking about work and stuff, we were able to just, chat one-on-one, just drop everything, forget about everything that's happening around us, especially during times like this,
Yeah.
and just focus on something, that we were truly passionate about. So it was really great.
And I think it's good motivation too to have like a goal in mind that you knew what you had to do from the get-go, from the outset. You knew you had to do so many push-ups, but along the way, it would have been a bit of a journey. And just like life, where there'd be some days where you actually can't be stuffed, you didn't reach your target, but that's okay, because sometimes every day isn't a good day in life, and that's just how it goes. But then on those really good days, you thought, geez, I'm going to clock a few more just to bank up for those days that I might not be feeling so well. And then you get this sense of achievement, not only after each day by meeting the objective if you did, but also at the end. You get that, you sort of get that self-achievement saying, geez, I did it. But then also, and rightly so, you got so much recognition through meeting your fundraising target of $1,000. So you exceeded that, which is excellent, and the money's gone to a great cause. But then also you getting the plaudits from friends and family, and even potentially strangers saying, hey, good job doing that. The push-ups, raising awareness. You didn't have to do it, but you did. And you made it aware. You didn't have to put it on your social medias, and you did. Some people be like, oh, you can't even do a push-up probably. Like probably a gym junkie looked at you saying, oh, in your first few days, that's poor form, Jimmy. But hey, where's he doing? What's he doing? He's just doing push-ups for his own self-ego, whereas you're taking one for the team.
Yeah, no, cheers. Yeah, no, felt really good, and sense of achievement was really, really rewarding. So, no, I'll definitely do it again next year. I recommend anyone definitely participate. Obviously, you don't have to raise money. You can just do it to just raise awareness. Any awareness, goes a long way. I think we spend as a government, or as in Australia, I think we spend $220 billion on mental health each year. So that's a significant amount of our funding, and obviously it does impact a lot of us, like the statistics that you've read out previously. Those statistics mean that there's someone in your group that is suffering from some sort of mental health.
Yeah, 1 in 10 Australians. So that means, with the soccer boys last year, you're looking at Silly Sunday. There probably was a bus of 30 of us, I reckon, probably attended that day. So that means 3 of us on that bus had some sort of mental illness, either previously or currently at that point in time. So that's a scary thought when, you're having a few beers with the boys, you're having such a good time, it was such a memorable day. Little do you know that 27 of us were all fine and dandy, but 3 of us on that bus could have been suffering, and they're just sort of putting on a front, they're just faking a smile just to get through it all. But then after, how do they feel? And you might have just stirred one of the boys up the wrong way.
What I was gonna say, it's that factor of, do you know that your mates are willing to listen? Like, yourself, like, oh no, I can go to you and talk to you because you're an always open, honest guy, but you're also friendly, you're also, easy to talk to, and you're very, approachable. So it's also having, that being able to go to your mates, hey, if you ever need something, you are able to talk to me.
Exactly.
Just showing that openness, that open approachedness, like, that people can actually approach you and, be talking to you like, oh, they're great. All of them couldn't have met a better bunch of blokes, in such a small area. So definitely glad to actually be a part of that club. Those boys in that club, can't vouch for them enough.
Exactly. And you know what? Like, I think being accommodating, being open is the new cool these days. Like back then it was like, oh, who had the best phone, or who's got the flashiest car, or, all these materialistic things. But, that means nothing when you're actually just a genuine good person. You can talk to them, you can relate to them. They're open, they're honest, they're funny. That's I reckon they're going to be the new cool in the future. Whereas, all these materialistic items, like who was wearing Ed Hardy or G-Star and all that crap. Like, who gives a shit? I mean,
I'm sure you rocked Ed Hardy.
I did own a fake Ed Hardy hat from Bali. I'm not paying bloody $200 for fake diamonds on a hat, mate. Come on, it's just a little, Diamantes. It was just a cheap $4 Bali bloody sweatshop item. So, and I think I actually ripped that guy off too because I was bartering him down from like $8 to $4. So, it's probably the accountant in me thinking, oh, cost of production's 40 cents. This guy's making 1,000% profit. Come on, mate.
I knew a guy that owned Ed Hardy seat covers. I don't even want to know how much he paid for them. Nah. I remember just sitting, I'm going, this is uncomfortable, mate. I can just feel the rhinestone just in my back, just digging into me. Did not want to sit in that car at all.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Like back then, 10 or so years ago, like it was just all about who had that, who's got that or whatever. But now it's just, I think it's those that, you just have that ability to be friendly, welcome, warm, and just, yeah, have some ears too. Like, everyone can talk shit, and I'm probably the biggest culprit for that. Like, you know, if you didn't give me a time limit here tonight, I could just keep going forever and ever, and just, we could talk about Twitch and gaming and Port Adelaide and all sorts, all that crap. But I mean, yeah, like, everyone can talk shit, but it's just about who's got ears and who can listen, because I think listening is very important, and especially when it comes to mental health, it takes a lot of courage for the person to start talking, but once they do, shut your mouth and listen. And I think that's exactly what you did with your mate. Like, you got him into an environment where he was comfortable. I mean, everyone loves a good dinner, a couple of drinks if you like a beverage or two. And then after that, well, you know, you sort of get him in that comfortable environment, then you just ask them the question, and, you know, you've got to be an absolute prick if you don't answer a question. And I'm sure he did. And, you know, you just snowballed from there, and good on you. And I think hopefully the lesson learned to everyone at home, all you stoners out there, is, you know, any of your mates, even family, or, you know, people you work with, if they've been off the last month or few weeks, just check in with them saying, hey, even if it's, you want to subtly just add it into a conversation. So, for example, you know, you're going to someone at work and say, when's this due, or how's that going? And then you just add in the whole line before you finish the conversation. Everything going all right? Like, how you been? And, you know, and just see what the response is. And if it's pretty blunt, then maybe you might have to work at it, because usually people that sort of try and dismiss those types of conversations or those types of questions might actually be the ones that are starving for it the most. You know, they always say, Jimmy, I'm sure you've heard the saying that, you know, the squeaky wheel always gets the grease. Sometimes we've got to be focusing on those other wheels before they start getting squeaky, or, you know, even if they don't squeak at all, you should pay attention to every single wheel.
Yeah, no, just be proactive about it, I reckon. Just, yeah, speak to your mates, ask them if they're all right. Just, you can't predict what someone's going to say. At the end of the day, we're all battling for our own thing. So, you know, and there's no harm in posing that question, are you okay? There's no harm in that question at all. There's no malice in it. There's, you know, you're only going to get, you know, either, yeah, I'm good, or, you know what, actually, this is actually happening in my life. And, you know, there's something that, you know, you can help someone with. So there's no better knowing that you can actually help someone, I reckon. That's personally my sort of greatest feeling.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed you've been drinking a beer during this podcast. What beer are you drinking?
Stella's, actually. Got a bit of Stella's here.
Stella Artois.
Stella Artois. Oh, look at you. No, I went to Dan Murphy's, I reckon, just before lockdown hit on Tuesday. I reckon before they announced the 6 p.m, I was like, you know what? I'm working from home already. Told the boss I'll be back. I'm going on my 15-minute break. He's like, where are you going? I'm like, Dan Murphy's. And he's like,
man.
Good idea.
Yeah, I love a good trip to Dan's, and sometimes it's
always... They actually had a blackout.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I got in there and they just blacked out. I was like, what's going on here?
What does that mean? Free beer because the scanners don't work?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, is that free beer? And she goes, no, we just got to keep you in here until they start the generators up. 5 minutes later, they finally got the generators up. The fridges weren't working. I was like, surely discount from the fridge beers. They're like, no. Get what you want and get out. I was like, all right.
Nah, Stella Artois, it's good Belgian Pilsner. Always good quality. And if you've ever had a stubby of Stella, you would notice that there's a paper wrapping around there. I wonder why that is the case. Do you know why that is the case?
I've always wanted to actually understand why they put that paper wrapping around the bottle. Because I reckon I've got a fresh bottle. Wait, let me go get a fresh bottle. I'll show you. Show it to you. So they've got this paper wrapping around here, which you've actually got to tear off at this point here, which I never understood why.
Very unusual. I think here, I'm doing a bit of a Google search here, Jimmy, so just bear with us. So it says here, to enhance the experience, Stella Artois has added a second perforation to the neck label of bottles, denoted by an easy-to-tear gold tab. This is second perforation ensures that the paper wrapping never touches the lips and doesn't get in the way of the beer's great taste. Okay, that doesn't really tell us why it's wrapped in paper. It just said that it had a second perforation. I reckon it's just like a little signature touch just to say we're different to everyone else, and I like it. I reckon it's pretty cool.
I reckon it's just, you know what they do say, when you're stressed, you want to tear things.
Yeah.
I reckon it's a good stress reliever.
Exactly.
Beer's already a stress reliever in itself. but tearing something. I know when I'm stressed, I just go through toilet paper. I just start not toilet paper, but like any sort of tissue paper. I just start ripping it.
There you go.
Whether that be anything, or whether that be paper or anything, I just start tearing into it. Just as I don't know, that's my sort of stress reliever. But no, it's a good stress reliever. I can tell you that. I was
going to say, if you're feeling stressed or angry, don't go punching people. Just squeeze stress balls or start tearing Stella Artois. That's for sure. But obviously, don't consume too many either.
No, I don't. I've only had the one tonight, and I'll stick at that. I've got a bottle of red here.
One carton or just one bottle?
Oh no, one bottle. I've got the carton there. The carton's there to survive the week. I'm not going to go back to Dan Murphy's. I'm not going to walk out. I haven't left the house during lockdown yet. I don't want to start leaving now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, who knows what's out there? The bloody pandemic, and it's like an apocalypse. But the way the government are sort of portraying the narrative, it's like, don't leave your house, like it's a scary world out there. Well, you know what? In 5 years' time, we might look back at this situation and just laugh at it, saying, why were we so overprotective? It could just be like another influenza. We don't know. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but we just have to do the best we can right now and play our part. What else have you been doing obviously during lockdown to pass the time? Are you getting on PlayStation, bit of Twitch, anything like that?
I've got it into a new hobby. I've actually gotten into Pokemon card collecting.
Pokemon card collecting. That's a throwback.
It is. It fuels my gambling addiction, I reckon, because you know me, Terry. I'm an avid gambler. I love a good gamble.
You love a punt, yes, you do.
I do love a punt, but Pokemon card collecting. It's actually like just opening a fresh packet of Pokemon cards, seeing what you get. If you get a diamond in the rough, hallelujah. If you don't, oh well. On to the next.
Are you collecting the old school ones or the new versions?
No, I'm collecting the old school ones are going. I reckon one pack of the old school boosters are going for like $750.
$750
for one of those little small packets.
Oh my god! Like 9 cards in there.
$750 for like 10k. No, 50k. 50k for a full box. I reckon I saw on Facebook on a page that I'm on. A guy was selling 2 boxes for 100,000, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just want to use this for my house deposit."
It's crazy. Like, I had a good deck of Pokemon cards, right, back in the day, and I even had Team Rocket Pokemon cards, right, the original with the little R on the right.
Yeah,
right picture. And I reckon once I sort of phased out of the Pokemon, I started collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards after that. I reckon I gave a couple of decks to my cousin, and I reckon there was some good holographics in there. I reckon I had like a holographic Machamp, which is one of the original decks that Pokemon cards created. I'm pretty sure I did have the Charizard, but it's not the one that's worth thousands upon thousands of dollars. I think it's worth about like $400-500, like in mint condition. But the only problem is, as a kid, like, I kept my cards in pretty good nick, but some had a few little scuffs on the edges. But it's amazing to see, like, you go on Gumtree, you go on eBay, you go on Amazon if you're, listening to us outside of Australia or wherever you are. People are keeping these cards in mint condition, but also I can't believe they're still unopened packs. The worst thing I could think about as a kid is when you buy like a booster pack or even just a deck of cards as a kid, you just couldn't wait till you got home to open them, or you just opened them in the car on the way home. Whereas these guys must have just kept them sealed, and it's like, that's crazy. Like, honestly, that's torture.
They were onto something. They knew that it was going to just... They knew. They, like those Bitcoin people, they knew exactly what was going to happen. They store it and they kept it, and look where they are now. But it's like that that Nintendo 64 Super Mario.
Yep.
Was it? And he went that the sealed one.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy money. But you know what? Who's actually paying for that? Who's buying that? Seriously, that much for a Super Mario 64? And like, that was probably my favorite game on Nintendo 64. Obviously, there was Mario Kart on there as well, but I reckon Super Mario was great. Used to fucking hate Bowser there at the end. Used to really struggle to do that. And then, like, I reckon a few years ago when I rebooted, I'm like, this is actually piss easy. Of course, like when you're a kid, it's quite challenging. But Yeah, I mean, who doesn't open that? Unless he bought 2 games and he was smart. He was like, oh, I'll buy one to play and I'll buy the other one just to keep. That's probably a good way to do it.
Well, that's what one of my mates actually in over here has actually done that. He's actually he showed me around his room. He's got vintage Nintendo 64 games, and he's got like still perfectly sealed in their boxes, untouched. Wow. I'm like, how have you played this? He goes, I'll buy 2 every single time. That's smart. That's his.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to be.
Every single time he just makes a collection. Yeah, where he's like, because at the moment, everyone with COVID and stuff, small businesses are struggling. He's like, if anything does happen to my business, he can just fall back on that and sell a few games if he needs to, and just get some money. So financial struggles are obviously going to be a thing during this time. So people have to find making money some other avenues. They have to. So collecting games in video games or card games is part of that.
And exactly right. You're saying that there's a lot of people going through financial distress, obviously with lockdowns, a lot of businesses that aren't essential are closed, and not only the business owners, but those that work for them. They're not getting paid because they're not working. The government's obviously providing some sort of cash handout, but that's not an equalisation of actually it's not even meeting halfway. So it's better than nothing, but it's still not going to compensate for the time lost. And so not only financial difficulty, but what do you do during lockdown, Jimmy? Like, you need to come up with a hobby, and cards are becoming pretty popular. Like, I remember even last year, footy cards were really popular again, and even the old school ones. Like, if you had a Wayne Carey mint condition back in his North Melbourne days, I mean, that would be fetching a few $1,000, no worries. Even there was a Select Footy Cards Prestige Edition released this year, 2021 Prestige Edition from Select. A Dustin Martin card was fetching over a few $1,000s. So,
jeez, really?
Yeah. But it was obviously it wasn't a common card. It was one of the rarities of Dustin Martin and pretty hard to get. I think it was like a 1 case hit Dustin Martin card. And so I think that was like a 1 in 3,000-4,000 chance of like getting that. And that fetched a few $1,000. And obviously Dustin Martin's probably the most decorated player in the last 5 years in the AFL. And yeah, I mean, those little hobbies and little knickknacks like that, I mean, that's what might get you through, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have a lot of downtime. So not only is it just to touch base with friends, making sure that everyone's okay, checking up. And it's good to say, are you okay? It's okay to say that. And it's okay not to say that you're okay. Like, if there is a problem, it's okay to just speak out. But then also checking out with friends, taking up new hobbies, and even just maybe getting your life together, whether it's creating a little budget or, getting your financial affairs in order, or, obviously we're in a new financial year and I'm an accountant. Maybe if you do your own tax return, maybe it's a good time to get your paperwork sorted or hit up a tax agent or something like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've done mine last week. So I got all that sorted. Yeah, that's all going new house. That's hopefully going to be finished by the end of the year. It's taken.
That's exciting.
Again, yeah. Well, it's taken a year and a half to build with the wood shortage that's happened in Australia.
Well, I'm pretty sure the tradies are all booked out for months at a time, and even not only just shortage of material, but even in supply in regards to services and manpower. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's been ridiculous. Like, I think our wood. The problem with our wood shortage was, I think everything that's in our Gambia gets shipped off to either China and the eastern states, and we get all our supplies from Western Australia, but they're not offloading their supplies to us because they need it for their own housing market. So we're in the short end of the stick. But yeah, like you said, manpower, resources, as well as the goods overseas from Europe, like the appliances and those electronic appliances. They're like, I'm glad I've got mine in. So spoken to my builder the other day, and he's like, "Yep, no, we've got yours sorted. We just need to piss off so we can continue on the build, because it's a mud pit at the moment around my block of land."
There you go. Yeah, well, I was going to say, with the weather that you've been having as well, and I'm pretty sure today was the coldest day in South Australia in over 3 decades. So yeah, I was stocked up on the layers, and bloody, I reckon I had a couple of coffees, a few teas, like all these warm drinks. I'm like, it still wasn't actually doing much. But yeah, we'll get through it. Just quickly before we wrap things up, Jimmy, obviously obsessed with Pokemon cards at the moment. What's the best Pokemon card you've got? Is it the new edition or the old edition, and which one is it?
So I unpacked a Glaceon full art. So it's like a shiny. It's like a shiny plus a sort of like a Muriel of a Glaceon in a Japanese set. So it probably goes for around about 250 to 300 Australian at the moment. Yeah, so I picked that one up pretty cheap for like $50.
Yep.
Well, the packet for like $50 had like 10 of them, and I happened to unpack that. But everyone's after that Charizard, the shiny Charizard. So there's all these shiny Charizard that people want. So those so raw ungraded they are like 800, but if they grade at a perfect 10, they go up to like 5 to 10k.
Yeah,
it's
all to do with how mint they are, and in terms of the grade of the condition that you keep them in. But why Charizard? Like, you're looking at the original 150 or 151 if you want to include Mewtwo, but like, what happened to the fully evolved version of Squirtle, which is Blastoise? Like, I always used to enjoy Blastoise, and then you had obviously Bulbasaur's. What was that fully evolved version? That was not Venusaur. Ivysaur, that's it. Yeah. So, why Charizard out of the three? Why was it Fire that's worth the most?
I'm not actually too sure, but I reckon it's got to do something with the cartoon. Because in the tin, I know Charizard. Yeah, Ash and Charizard.
Yeah,
and I think Charizard. Yeah, Charizard I think was his like favorite Pokemon because he kept using for those mental battles. Like as far as I can remember, I haven't watched that show for yonks.
Yeah,
I remember going to the cinema to watch the first movie. I was so excited as a 5-year-old kid. But
did you ever get that special Mewtwo card at the cinemas?
Yeah, I did.
Where it was like Japanese, fully holographic front and back. I just don't know what I did with that. I don't know if it's worth money.
I think it actually does fetch a few hundred. Actually, it might be. But yeah, I actually don't know what I did with mine as well. I spoke to my mum about it. I was like, "Do you remember that card we got?" She's like, "Yeah, you gave it to me. I put it in one of my bags, when we first got it, but I don't remember what we did with it after."
Yeah.
I never opened it.
Yeah. That was good stuff. And like obviously, looking back at the cartoons, you obviously had Misty. Always wondered if she had a crush on Ash. I never watched the series complete to see if they even had a kiss or whatever. Then you had like Brock, who used to love his Onyx, and all those other dickheads on that show. But no, it was good fun.
Yeah, no, I think it was too G-rated to actually have those sort of crushes.
Yeah,
there's no kisses going around.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think we all had a crush on Misty at one stage. Well, I know I did.
She was a bit of a cutie. And what Pokemon did she always carry around? It was like a little egg. Oh, what was it?
I forget that name now. I did. I actually forgot. I forgot it. I was actually talking about it the other day, and it's just skipped my.
Togepi, that's it.
Yes, that's the one.
Togepi.
Speaking about it the other day.
Yeah, I'm just like doing a bit of a Google search here. Why does Misty carry Togepi? So that's one of the common questions here on Google. It's like Misty used Togepi because she knew Pikachu would never attack it, as Pikachu often babysit it. Using Charm, Togepi ended up defeating Pikachu. Well, that's a bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen the cartoon. So, yeah, sorry for that, stoners. But there you go, Togepi. I mean, it looked like it did nothing. And then Pikachu sometimes used to piss me off as well. And I was always curious as to why Ash just never let it evolve, or it never evolved to Raichu. And then it had like a devolved version of Pichu. Like, obviously, Pokemon's become like a massive multi-billion-dollar business. So they've had to create more than just the stock standard 150. Then I remember Series 2 with Totodile and Chikorita and all that.
Yeah,
that was cool. And obviously the Pokemon games. You ever play them?
Still playing.
Yeah, good stuff.
I still play them. So I've still got my Nintendo Switch, and I still play them. So no, they're great fun. I remember on like long drives to across the state borders. Used to just play that non-stop.
Yep.
On a plane, used to play that non-stop. They were the best back
when we could go on a plane. And speaking of planes, when the last time I went to Europe, 2016, I actually bought that 25th anniversary edition 2DS Nintendo, and I bought the yellow one, the Pikachu version. And
really?
I had Pokemon Gold pre-installed, and I played that throughout, like every layover we had at every airport in Europe. I was playing that, and by the end of the trip, I'm pretty sure we were in where was I? I reckon I was in Germany or in the Netherlands, and I finished it. And like I remember I was on the plane and I was like celebrating, I fucking did it, because I never finished gold as a kid. Because I reckon once I did, like I think I had gold, played it, and then I'm like halfway through, and then I reckon because I got it a bit later than all the rest of the cool kids out there, and then I ended up getting silver, so I ended up just playing silver after that. So then when I finished gold, I was on this plane, and pretty much you're going from, I think it was Germany to Netherlands, so I was obviously in transit, and like hardly anyone's there actually speaking English as a first language. And I'm like, yes, fuck yeah, I did it, like I did it, and like I was saying to my mates, and like he was excited, and everyone's looking around like, what are you doing? What's this like mid-20s guy playing Game Boy? But little do they know that probably that device is worth a few $100s now as well, or a bit more than that. So unfortunately I didn't. I did open
that's something that got you through this.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a bit of satisfaction as well when I actually completed it. And I completed it with ease too. Like I just made sure I just was very methodical with which Pokemon I sort of leveled up and which ones I had. And obviously each trait of my 6 Pokemon were quite different. So it doesn't matter what you threw at me, I was ready for it and I was prepared.
Love how you transform when you were 5, where you just chose your favorite 5 and you chose those 5.
That's right. I actually had a very, very strong,
but now
high level.
Train each one.
I had a high leveled Butterfree, and that used to get me through for in those dark times where you're basically up against fire, water, whatever it is, and you just use that poison mist, and it just fucks up every single, except for the rock types and all that sort of stuff. But my Butterfree used to just get me across the line, and then obviously the opposite trainer was then had poisoned Pokemon, and they kept using antidotes, and then they run out of and yeah, I mean the rest speaks for itself. So I could talk about playing Game Boys till the cows come home.
I think I could do the same.
Yep. Jimmy, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. Obviously, the front end of this podcast, it was all serious business that we're talking about, and just making note that, yeah, it is okay not to be okay, and to speak out, to touch base with friends, because at the same time, I think not only do we want to be in a good mental state, but it's also nice knowing where your friends and family are in a good mental state as well. And if we're all in that, happy place, I think it's just going to be a better place to be and a better world to live in. So really appreciate it. Anything you want to say before we finish up?
Yeah, no, I couldn't send it better myself. Definitely, if anyone wants to speak up, speak up. If anyone wants to speak to me, feel free to chat to me. I'm sure if you ever want, contact Terry. He can pass on my details, my Skype details. Happy to talk. But no, definitely speak up. If you want to speak up to your close family, friends, you have Lifeline, all of that. So you definitely have the avenues around. So no, I couldn't have said it better myself. Hopefully we all survive this COVID pandemic, and we all fight through this lockdown. And hopefully everyone's okay with it.
That's it. Well said, Jimmy. And yeah, if you do want to touch base with Jimmy or even speak to myself, hit us up at Turnstones Pod. That's our Instagram and Twitter handle. Give us a DM there, and then we'll go from there and obviously point you in the right direction. So everyone stay safe, stay healthy, have fun, and watch out for those Charizards.